Thanks, everyone. I'm happy to be here. A lot of familiar faces. Many of you thought you were rid of me, but I kind of suck at retirement, so here I am again. I recently took on the role of interim executive director of the SCGA. So the corollary to SGA south of the American River, and we'll talk about the development of the groundwater sustainability plan in the South American subbasin. So the South American subbasin, as I said, is bounded by the American River on the north, the Sacramento River on the west, the Cosumnes River on the south, and then the eastern edge of the basin is up against the foothills. So the edge of the alluvial materials that are defined as a groundwater basin. As far as the administration under SGMA, that there are currently 6 groundwater sustainability agencies. The SCGA, Sacramento Central Groundwater Authority, overlies the majority of the area, and frankly actually overlies the 2 areas you see as OHWD and SRCD. SCGA was historically bigger than what this mint green GSA represents. SCGA will amend its JPA and roll back its boundaries to match the GSA boundary. In addition, there's a GSA in the Northern Delta, which is a JPA formed of about 6 or 7 reclamation districts. There's Reclamation District 551, that's an independent GSA. Omachumney-Hartnell Water District is a GSA, which actually overlaps down into the Cosumnes Basin as well. And then Slough House Resource Conservation District is the 6th GSA. And they overlap and have really much more area. They're the GSA for down in the Cosumnes, and Linda will tell you about that. And then, of course, the areas that didn't have defined GSAs because there was not a water district or other public agency overlying them became the responsibility of Sac County, and Sac County took on the role of GSA for those undistricted areas. In developing the GSP, the 5 GSAs, not including RD 551. RD 551 agreed to the preparation of a single GSP for the basin. They are not, however, participating directly in development of that. So we've got 5 GSA boards that adopted a memorandum of understanding to develop a single GSA and to share the costs, or a single GSP and share the costs of that GSP. They've then allocated representatives to a working group of 12 members that really serves as the ongoing sounding board, if you will, for the consultants as they're developing content, developing concepts, teeing up decisions for the GSP. The working group helps to guide that. Ultimately, it's those 6 groundwater sustainability agencies that will have to adopt the groundwater sustainability plan before it's filed with state DWR. Jumping to groundwater conditions, there's a we aren't in the South American as far along on GSP development, I think, as we really just kicked that off for several reasons. So, compared to the North American, compared to Cosumnes, the GSP isn't as far along. So what I'm going to present is not new material that'll be in the GSP, but there is a long history starting with the SCGA groundwater management plan, biannual basin management reports, and then submittal of an alternative to SGMA that happened in late 2016. And with that submittal, then annual reports under SGMA were required. So there were annual reports for the 2017 and 2018 water years. And these sources are really where the discussion that follows comes. So part of the analysis in the alternative was looking at a 10-year period as required under SGMA and demonstrating sustainable management. So as part of that, they looked at groundwater extractions over the 2005 to 2015 period. And you can see that overall groundwater extractions are going down. In the blue, urban use is going down. And I think that's probably similar. I wasn't on to see what Rob showed you, but you know, that's driven by a couple of things. It's driven by increased surface water use, and it's driven by conservation and overall urban demand going down. The you see the ag use in the orange being relatively stable, maybe declining some, and then you see the ag res pumping, the development of parcels with private wells kind of growing in the second half of this period. As far as groundwater levels, this again is from the alternative. We have on the left side, fall of 2005 groundwater levels, and on the right side, fall of 2015. And what you can see is a general rise in water levels in the South American here, whereas you had this cone of depression at minus 40 and then minus 50. Now we've got that opening up and you know, roughly a 10-foot rise there. In contrast, in the neighboring basin, and Linda will talk about this, you see the cone of depression deepening down in the Cosumnes. This is just a difference plot. So we took the 2015 and subtracted off the 2005. And the green, you see areas where water levels have increased, water levels relatively stable. Then there's a couple areas of water level decrease. This is largely associated with the groundwater remediation. So, you know, in a sense, that's a good thing. We're containing the plumes that threaten water quality in both the South American and North American. I talked a little bit about the increase in surface water use, and Rob Schwartz shared these slides with me that were developed in relation to the water transfers that are happening this year. But if we look at Sacramento County Water Agency water use within the South American subbasin, so the last 10 years, you see that groundwater in the light blue color has declined over that time as surface water use has increased. And then overall, a general trend downward in water use with conservation. Some big dips during the drought, but still an overall downward trend of total water use. And as a result of that, here's a hydrograph from a well within the SCWA service area. You see over time water levels increasing on the order of 20 feet over the past couple of decades. Similarly, in Golden State Water Company, who also participated in the water transfer, you see the decline in groundwater use, a decline in surface water use, and that's replaced by this increase in the remediated aerojet water that's coming online as a water supply. So, you know, good news is that water that's being pumped out of the basin to be remediated is starting to be put back to use within the South American subbasin. And again, looking at a hydrograph from that area, we see not as good a record, but we see a general trend upward in groundwater levels. Water quality is certainly a concern in the South American subbasin, where the largest plumes, with the exception of McClellan, the most significant contamination areas and plumes are actually within the South American subbasin. The vast majority of the aerojet plume located there. And then in addition, there's just an ongoing challenge of emerging contaminants in drinking water wells. Uh, uh, Currently, it's the PFAS compounds. As far as an undesirable result, this is certainly a concern for the GSP and a concern from a Sigma standpoint. But these are things which largely aren't going to be addressed by actions of the GSA. Municipal drinking water wells are regulated by the State Water Board's drinking water program, and issues are addressed. So exceeding standards means you take actions to find another alternative to provide safe drinking water. And similarly, Aerojet and the other responsible parties are taking actions on their plumes. So while the SCGA, as the GSA, will certainly track these things, water quality as an undesirable result that the GSA will take action on is not one of the highest priorities.
John, just a heads up, you got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty close to wrapping up. So back to undesirable results, and thanks to Linda and the consultants from the Cosumnes for this slide, and I think the undesirable results and the level of concern are really similar among the three subbasins. Seawater intrusion isn't a concern. Similar to what Rob described in the South American subbasin, land subsidence really hasn't been observed, and within the range of water levels we might operate in, won't be a concern. Water quality, as I said, is a concern, but it's largely a concern that's going to be addressed by other regulatory programs. So really, the areas of concern and the areas of focus for the GSP will be lowering of groundwater levels, reduction of groundwater storage, and then surface water depletion and the interaction between groundwater and both surface streams and groundwater dependent ecosystems, especially on the Cosumnes, but again, we're bounded on the north by the American as well. As far as process, as I said, because of the alternative being submitted, because of the lengthy time it took for review of that by DWR, we're starting into the formal kickoff of the GSP fairly late, but there's a lot of data, information, and material that's going to be built on. This shows our general, basically semi-annual approach with a draft groundwater sustainability plan planned for around this time or probably a little earlier next summer, and then roughly 6 months the rest of the year to finalize that, address comments, and submit that plan to the state. So with respect to the questions you asked, I guess I'll just kind of briefly touch on these. There was a question about groundwater banking, and I think the water providers within the South American, the municipal water providers that are also all RWA members are actively working on the regional groundwater bank concept. So how exactly the GSA will manage a banking program under its purview will need to be determined in the GSP, but the groundwater bank that's regional is being pursued. Groundwater surface water habitat impacts, that's going to be a major part of the GSP work, is studying especially the Cosumnes and the stream interaction, and pretty closely coordinated with the Cosumnes subbasin to the south of the river. What are the most likely solutions to overdraft? I think largely we've seen that the overdraft has been mitigated and is being mitigated in the South American. Conservation in urban water use is certainly taking place in response to other requirements. But direct actions to reduce pumping likely won't be a part of the groundwater sustainability plan. sort of like Rob said, I don't suspect there will be a plan to fill in the cones of depression. They may fill over time since water use is declining. And I think the goal will be to operate the basin in a conjunctive use manner to address the variability and increased variability of climate change going forward. Effect on water purveyors and other groundwater users, that really remains to be seen from the GSP, both in terms of effects of how water levels may change and fluctuate, but also what the cost will be and what the impacts of who has to pay. And then finally, cross-boundary issues. I think the biggest issue really is around the boundary with the South American and the Cosumnes, and the potential impacts looking at the Cosumnes River and stream flow depletion. There's good coordination because RWA is so heavily involved across the North and South American, and then across the Sacramento River, and the nature of the groundwater use in the Delta, in the South American subbasin, and the nature of the groundwater use in those Yolo, Solano adjacent subbasins. Those will be coordinated, but I don't think there's a whole lot of potential issues there. So that is all I have, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions after we talk about this.
Thanks, John, very much. And again, let's hand it off to Linda now to give us a look at the Cosumnes. So Linda Doran, if you grab the share screen. And you may be on mute, Linda, because I'm not hearing you.
Yeah. I was going to let you all know I've been having my own technical difficulties this morning, but we will give it a try with running my own presentation.
Okay, and if it doesn't work, Linda, just let us know, and Tanya can run it from her.
Right. Okay, so let me get the share. Oh. All right. So I'm running this out of my Outlook message. So that's why you're seeing the screen that you do. And let's just see how it goes, if I can handle it on my own. So again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Doran. I'm with the Sacramento County GSA in the Cosumnes Basin. I'm the Groundwater Sustainability Manager for the county. So we have responsibility as a GSA in any of the areas where no other local agency stepped up to the plate to be a groundwater sustainability agency. Lots of people call that the backstop, and the reason why the county has done that is to avoid State Water Resources Control Board intervention in any of the subbasins in Sacramento County. And so what I'm going to do is give you some general information on the Cosumnes, a little hydrological conceptual model technical information, and then try and answer some of the questions that your group posed. And for general information, I think most interesting about the Cosumnes subbasin is that it's actually part of the San Joaquin Valley Basin. The Cosumnes River is a divide between the Sacramento Valley Basin to the north of the Central Valley, and then the San Joaquin Valley Basin to the south. So it's the very start of the San Joaquin Valley Basin. There are 7 GSAs in the Cosumnes Basin, and they are listed over here. I'm trying to get my pointer. But you can see from the map where the county is in the white area as a GSA. And then in the green area, that is actually Amador County. Amador County Groundwater Management Agency is the GSA there. The yellow area is Slough House Resource Conservation District. The kind of peachy color is Omochumni Hartnell, which also crosses over the Cosumnes River into the South American subbasin. The lighter blue area there is Claywater District, the small one. And then that's Galt Irrigation District, the speckled area outside of that. And then there kind of towards the south of what's Highway 99 running through this is Galt, the city of Galt. The 7 groundwater sustainability agencies formed the working group back in 2017, I believe it was, and we are operating under a framework agreement and a cost share agreement. And I want to say that the Water Forum is the plan manager and CBI are the facilitation support services in this basin. And I believe that we're as far along as we are with developing a groundwater sustainability plan due to their excellent help and working us through the process as 7 GSAs coordinating together. The cost of the groundwater sustainability plan is around 3.8 million, and of that, about 1.8 million comes from Prop 1 and Prop 68 grants. EKI is the consultant that was selected through a competitive bid process. You heard about the Cosumnes model from Rob, so I won't spend a lot of time there other than saying that the Cosumnes Basin has been doing data refinement on that model and passing that back to Woodard Coran that is responsible for the model. What we're doing in this sub-basin, the consultants are developing tech memos for each of the chapters of the Groundwater Sustainability Plan. And so far we have a data management system chapter and a hydrological conceptual model and monitoring network. And what I'm going to focus on in the next few slides is the hydrological conceptual model. So what does that HCM show? This first slide is telling you that we are going to look at only one single principal aquifer in the basin. And the reason why we're doing that and focusing on just one aquifer is based on looking at data from cross sections, well yields, well depths, the well uses, and then also groundwater quality. And this is a cross section of the basin, but the next slide shows a more detailed cross section. And as you can see in this figure, that wells are completed in all of the formations in this basin. So again, that's one of the reasons why we decided to focus on a single principal aquifer. It's also easier when you get to setting your sustainable management criteria as measurable thresholds and minimum thresholds and measurable objectives when you are dealing with one principal aquifer. So this is groundwater elevations that are shown for fall of 1999 and 2018. And you can see that there has been a decline of 15 feet between these 2 year time frames. And that's just on average. It also shows that there's a cone of depression that's east of the city of Galt. And the other thing that the hydrological conceptual model has shown is an estimate of 10,000 acre feet per year of storage in the basin. And there was a couple of different methods that were looked at to estimate the reduction in storage, and this was the hydrological characteristics that were used to determine that 10,000 acre feet. So now I'm going to move to answering some of the questions that were posed, and bear with me in that we are in the process of collecting a lot of the data for the groundwater sustainability plan and developing it right now. So we won't necessarily have a lot of information to provide in answering your questions, but I'm giving them the best shot that I can with the information that we have. So on groundwater banking, one of the things that we know is that we will try and look at recharge projects and identifying areas where those could potentially happen. I guess it's good to mention at this point that there's not a surface water supply in the Cosumnes Basin, so I can't really talk about conjunctive use for this area. The only infrastructure that provides surface water down here is the Folsom South Canal, and therefore in looking at any recharge areas, we'd probably want to focus areas that are close to that canal. And what we've done is taken the information that UC Davis has done, the modeling work that they've done for what looks like good recharge areas, and that's between both the South American and the Cosumnes Basin. The Cosumnes is maybe not quite as, has as many opportunities, but it looks like they have some, and we're trying to find out more about that through geophysical work right now.
Linda,
Are there ground?
Just a heads up, there's 5 minutes left.
Okay. Are there groundwater, surface water habitat impacts? We've been using the DWR guidance that they have developed and the tools in conjunction with the Nature Conservancy, as you heard Trevor mention. And then we've also established a surface water advisory group to help address this. And that group is composed of advisors from fishery agencies and environmental groups that have expertise in this area. And likely solutions to the overdraft in the basin and wool conservation. We really are just starting to think about projects and management actions. Those will be discussed amongst the working group, and I would say probably after the first of the year. I can't remember what the exact schedule is for that. And there is a cone of depression that's been identified to the east of the city of Galt. Again, projects and management actions haven't been discussed yet, but will be included in the groundwater sustainability plan. There was a question about the regional sand, what's now called the Harvest Water Project, and its contribution to flow to the Cosumnes Basin. And I know when that project was promoted or applied for the water storage investment program, that the modeling did show that there would be more inflow into the Cosumnes Basin, but I would rely upon those project proponents and how that's included in the COSANA model to say what those actual contributions and inflow would be. And then as John had pointed out, our consultants EKI put together this graphic to talk about the undesirable results in the basin. And in the Cosumnes, it's far enough away from the delta and the ocean that seawater intrusion is not a very high concern. Same with land subsidence. Water quality kind of came out in the middle. There are no large remediation sites in the Cosumnes Basin. Most of the water quality areas that have been impacted are small along Highway 99 from gas stations. So really where we need to focus our area for undesirable results are on the reduction in storage, surface water depletion, which we're just starting to collect some additional information. Part of our Prop 68 grant includes adding 2 stream gauges along the Cosumnes River, so that will help us. And then of course the surface water advisory group and any advice they have us about GDEs and lowering of groundwater levels is a very high concern. We'll be working through that. This is just an overall slide to give you an idea of where we've been and where we're going. And since I can't get my, oh, there's my mouse. Right now we are in the process of doing geophysical studies and isotope work and monitoring well installation. That all that funding for that came from Prop 68. And then I would say if you want to keep up with what is going on with the Cosumnes subbasin, look at these draft tech memos that come out. They're presented to the working group, inputs provided to our consultant EKI on those, and the public is available to take a look. Any comments that they receive will only be addressed in the administrative draft of the GSP that you should be seeing by this time next year, because all of the GSAs in the subbasin have to approve that, their boards have to approve the GSP, and then then it has to be uploaded to the website, DWR's website, by the January 31st. And as the grant administrator, the county being that we're paying attention to when we close out those grants, that's around June 30th. It might be a little later with the Prop 68. And of course, we will be doing annual reports and 5-year updates to demonstrate that the basin is being managed sustainably. And with that, I encourage you, if you're interested in the Cosumnes Basin, to go to the website here from that the Water Forum maintains and sign up.